There is a compound being produced right now on your skin. You cannot see it, you may not even be fully aware of it yet. But the people closest to you, your partner, your adult children, your closest friends, they have probably already noticed it. And nobody has told you because nobody knows how to say it without it sounding cruel. It has a name. Japanese researchers isolated it in 1999. They called it 2-nonanol. And after the age of 50, your body starts producing it in significantly larger amounts. It is the primary reason human beings develop a distinctly different body odor as they age, and it has almost nothing to do with hygiene. This is not about showering more, this is not about your detergent, this is biology. And your doctor almost certainly has never walked you through exactly what is happening inside your skin, why it starts around 50, and what, if anything, you can actually do about it. That is what this video is for. If you want health information explained the way it should be, in plain language, with real science behind it, no shame, no sales pitch, subscribe right now and hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds and it helps me reach people who genuinely need this information. The goal is 150,000 subscribers, and every single person watching this can move that number. Let me start at the beginning, because to understand why your smell changes, you need to understand what body odor actually is. Most people think sweat smells. It does not by itself. Fresh sweat, the moment it leaves your body, is almost completely odorless. What creates odor is what happens afterward. Bacteria living on the surface of your skin consume the compounds in your sweat and secretions and break them down. The byproducts of that bacterial process are what you actually smell. Now here's the part nobody explains clearly. Your skin does not just produce sweat. It produces the continuous mixture of oils, fatty acids, and other compounds through 2 different types of glands. The first type is your eccrine glands. These are spread across almost your entire body and produce the watery sweat you see when you are hot or exercising. Their primary job is temperature regulation. The second type is your apocrine glands. These are concentrated in specific areas, your armpits, your groin, around the nipples. They produce a thicker, protein-rich secretion. These are the glands most involved in the odor bacteria generate. But here is the third player, the one that almost nobody talks about in this context, your sebaceous glands. These are attached to your hair follicles across most of your body, and they produce sebum, a complex, oily substance that lubricates and protects your skin. After 50, the fatty acid composition of what your sebaceous glands produce begins to shift. Specifically, a fatty acid called omega-7, also known as palmitoleic acid, increases in your skin secretions. When this fatty acid sits on the surface of your skin and gets exposed to oxygen in the air, it oxidizes. That oxidation process produces a specific chemical byproduct, 2-nonanol. 2-nonanol has a very specific smell profile. Researchers describe it as greasy, waxy, and faintly like old paper or old books. It is not unpleasant in small amounts, but it is distinct, and it is essentially absent in people under 40 and rises steadily after that. That is the biological origin of what some cultures specifically have a word for. The Japanese term is kareishu, which translates roughly to old person smell. This is not an insult. This is a documented, measurable chemical phenomenon. Now, knowing that 2-nonanol exists is only part of the picture. The more important question is, why does it get worse over time? Why does it accelerate specifically around and after 50? There are 4 mechanisms driving this, and they all happen simultaneously. The first is the decline in antioxidant capacity. Your body has a built-in defense system against oxidation. Enzymes, vitamins, and other compounds that neutralize the oxidative processes happening in your tissues constantly. Vitamin E in particular plays a major protective role in the skin specifically. After 50, the concentration of antioxidants in your skin secretions measurably drops. That means the fatty acids on your skin surface oxidize faster and more completely than they did when you were younger. More oxidation equals more 2-nonenol. It is a direct relationship. The second is hormonal change, and this applies to both men and women, though differently. In women, the drop in estrogen during and after menopause has a profound effect on skin physiology. Estrogen plays a regulatory role in sebaceous gland activity. When it drops, the composition of sebum changes. Hot flashes and night sweats, which are also driven by estrogen loss, dramatically increase the amount of sweat and secretion on the skin surface, giving bacteria more material to work with and giving those fatty acids more opportunity to oxidize. In men, testosterone declines more gradually, but its metabolites, the compounds it breaks down into, also shift the activity of apocrine and sebaceous glands. The result is a different odor profile than what the male body produced at 30. The third mechanism is a shift in your skin microbiome. Your skin is not sterile. It hosts approximately 1,000 species of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms in a carefully balanced ecosystem. Research over the last decade has shown that as we age, the composition of that skin microbiome changes significantly. Certain bacterial species, particularly from the genus Corynebacterium, become more dominant. These bacteria are among the most aggressive converters of skin secretions into volatile, odor-producing compounds. More Corynebacterium activity means stronger odor from the same raw materials. The fourth mechanism is subtle kidney and metabolic change. Your kidneys filter your blood and remove waste products. After 50, kidney filtration efficiency begins to gradually decline, not necessarily to a disease level, but enough to mean that slightly more waste compounds are offloaded through the skin. Your skin is, in a real physiological sense, a secondary excretory organ. When the primary one becomes less efficient, the secondary one carries more of the load. Some of those excreted compounds contribute directly to the odor signature that changes with age. These four processes do not work in isolation. They reinforce each other. Less antioxidant protection means more oxidation. Hormonal shifts change what is secreted. Microbiome changes alter what bacteria do with those secretions. And metabolic shifts add new compounds to the mix. The result is a smell that is genuinely, chemically different, not just stronger. Here's the part I want you to pay close attention to, because this is where it moves from being a cosmetic concern to being a clinical one. A significant change in body odor after 50 is not always just aging biology. In some cases, it is your body signaling something that deserves a closer look. Sudden or unusually strong changes in body odor can be associated with uncontrolled blood sugar. When the body cannot properly metabolize glucose, as happens in diabetes and prediabetes, it begins breaking down fat for fuel instead. That process produces compounds called ketones. One of those ketones, acetone, is exhaled through the breath and also excreted through sweat. It creates a distinctive, sweet, slightly fruity odor that some people and their families notice before any formal diagnosis is made. A fishy or ammonia-like odor, particularly from the skin or breath, can indicate that the kidneys are under more stress than expected. When kidney function is compromised, urea, a waste product normally cleared by the kidneys, accumulates in the blood and gets excreted through sweat as ammonia. Doctors have a clinical term for this, uremic fetor. It is a recognized sign that kidney function should be evaluated, not dismissed. Changes in vaginal odor after menopause are also frequently biological and not hygiene-related. The drop in estrogen lowers the acidity of vaginal tissue, which shifts the local bacterial balance. This can produce noticeable odor changes that are entirely normal, but should still be discussed with a doctor to rule out infection or other causes. The takeaway here is this. If your body odor has changed noticeably and recently, and especially if it has changed character, not just strength, that is worth mentioning at your next medical visit. Not out of embarrassment, out of information. Now the practical part. What does the evidence actually support when it comes to managing this? First, target the oxidation process directly. Since 2-nonenal is produced by oxidation of fatty acids on the skin surface, anything that reduces oxidative activity on the skin surface will reduce production. The most relevant intervention here is dietary antioxidant intake. Vitamin E found in nuts, seeds, olive oil, and leafy greens has a specific affinity for skin tissue. Research suggests that people with higher dietary vitamin E have lower measured levels of 2-nonenal on the skin surface. This is not a supplement advertisement. It is a documented mechanism. Green tea polyphenols have also been specifically studied in relation to 2-nonenal reduction, both applied topically and consumed internally. Some Japanese skincare products now specifically formulate around this mechanism. Second, the shower strategy matters more than the frequency. Most people over 50 who are concerned about odor simply shower more. That is not always the most effective approach. What matters more is targeting the right areas with the right products. Apocrine glands are concentrated in the armpits and groin. These are the areas where bacterial breakdown of secretions is most intense. Washing these areas thoroughly with a mild antibacterial soap, not a harsh one that strips all skin bacteria indiscriminately, is more effective than a full extra shower. Disrupting the entire skin microbiome with aggressive washing can actually backfire by allowing more odor-producing bacteria to repopulate faster than the protective species. Clothing choice also matters more than people realize. Synthetic fabrics trap secretions against the skin and create an environment where bacteria thrive. Natural fibers, cotton, linen, merino wool, allow better airflow and reduce bacterial accumulation. If you have noticed your clothing retaining odor more stubbornly than it used to, the fabric is a significant factor. Third, revisit what you are eating. Certain foods directly and measurably affect body odor output. Red meat consumption has been specifically linked to stronger and less pleasant body odor in multiple controlled studies independent of age. Alcohol is metabolized partly through the skin. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cabbage contain sulfur compounds that are excreted through sweat. None of these are foods to eliminate entirely, but if odor is a concern, being aware of their contribution is relevant information. Fourth, have the metabolic conversation with your doctor. If you have not had an HbA1c 3-month average blood sugar measurement done recently, ask for one. If your body odor has shifted noticeably, and especially if there is a sweet or ammonia character to it, a basic metabolic panel and kidney function test are reasonable to request. These are standard blood tests. They are not dramatic interventions, but they can catch things early that are far easier to address early than later. The smell changes that come after 50 are real. They are chemical. They are driven by oxidation, hormonal shifts, microbiome changes, and metabolic adjustments that happen in every aging body. They are not a reflection of hygiene. They are not something to be ashamed of. But they are also not something to simply accept without understanding what is driving them, because some of those drivers are modifiable, and a few of them are signals worth paying attention to. You now know what 2-nonenal is, where it comes from, and why it increases with age. You know what odor changes can sometimes indicate medically, and you have a practical, evidence-based framework for addressing this not with more perfume, but with an understanding of the biology underneath. If your doctor has never explained any of this to you, that is not unusual. This is not the kind of conversation that fits easily into a 12-minute appointment. That is exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe to Dr. Zach, hit the like button if this gave you something you did not have before. Share it with someone who has wondered about this and never knew who to ask. Every share and every subscriber helps me reach more people with information that should be freely available to everyone. Everything covered here is for your education and understanding. Your specific situation belongs in a conversation with your own physician. Use this as a starting point for that conversation, not a replacement for it.